from Kiss the Chef, Personal Chef and Catering Service. Today we're going to be making eggplant rollatini because I, in my infinite wisdom, decided that in the middle of a heat wave, it would be a good idea to cook something that involves turning on the oven. Good going. Anyway, first thing we're going to do is make our sauce. So for that we need tomatoes. This is my favorite tomato. I discovered it at Pizza Convention and I haven't gone back to anything else. It's the All In One. I would never have bought it if I hadn't tasted it because I mean this is like the ugliest packaging you can imagine, but it's really good stuff. They're California tomatoes rather than Italian, so they're a little bit sweeter. And I like that flavor quite a bit. So what we need is 4 large cloves of garlic. If you don't have 4 large cloves, obviously use more of the smaller ones. And we use, in this recipe, the heat's on, here we use a good glove of olive oil. It really makes a difference in the flavor, so don't be shy with the olive oil. Okay, so we're going to do, first thing we're going to do is cut up our garlic. We're just going to do a rough chop. You never have too much garlic. Gotta love the recipes that in pasta sauce and they say 1 clove of garlic. Throw that right out. What's the point? Okay, and that's that. Pour those in there, and then we're going to use quite a lot of basil. It's about a half a cup before you chop it. And it really does make a difference in the flavor. And then we're going to chop it up and put it in next to the garlic as soon as that starts to get fragrant. So it only cooks for a minute or 2, maybe 30 seconds. But when the garlic starts to get fragrant, then you can put in the basil. Give it another stir. When you start smelling the basil, oh boy, that smells just lovely. Then it's time to put in, we're using white wine rather than red wine, and don't be tempted to use the red because it's a little overpowering. I like a lighter, brighter taste. So we're going to cook that a little bit till the wine dissolves a little bit, or actually evaporates a little bit. Not much. And then we're going to add our tomatoes. This is a very quick cooking sauce. It's only about 10 minutes or so, maybe 15, as opposed to cooking a meat sauce, which takes quite several hours to cook. This is a 28-ounce can of tomatoes, and this is going to make just enough sauce. I think it comes out to about 3.5 cups for the dish that we're making. So we're going to just stir this, get it nice and stirred, and we're going to add our salt. I'm probably going to add about, you have to taste it, but I'm going to add about a half a teaspoon right off the bat, and I'll taste it again at the end to make sure we don't need more. Okay, so we're going to let this simmer a little bit. I'll stir it every few minutes and we'll make our filling. Okay, so our sauce is done. We're going to make our filling and then we'll get to the eggplant. So we're going to use 1 egg just as a binder and 2 cups of ricotta cheese, 3/4 of a cup of mozzarella cheese. This is freshly grated. Fresh mozzarella cheese, so it's kind of a pain to grate it, but if you do it when it's really cold and oil your grater first, you'll have a better time. So let's get that in there. Also adding a 1/4 cup of fontina cheese. It just has such a nice nutty flavor. I think it really adds something to any of the Italian cheese mixtures that I make. But when you're looking for the fontina, try to get the Italian fontina because the Danish version really didn't have that much flavor. When you think about Scandinavian cooking, they're not known for bold flavors. And we're using a 1/4 cup also of freshly grated Pecorino Romano cheese. I like the Pecorino Romano more than the Parmesan because it has a stronger taste, and I do really like bold flavors. We're also adding, anytime I do any cream sauce or cheese mixture, I always add freshly grated nutmeg, and a good amount. I'm going to use, well, you can do it to taste, but as you can see, I'm going to grate quite a bit. I'm probably using about, I don't measure when I cook, you can probably tell. Anyway, I'm probably going to use about 1/4 teaspoon in this cheese mixture. I'm going to add about a tablespoon, perhaps 2. It's up to you. Some people use parsley, but it really doesn't add much flavor. A nice color, but okay. Ooh. Escape these. Okay, we're eyeballing it here. This is about 2 tablespoons, and that's plenty. I'm going to also add 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I'm not going to do too much at first. I'll taste it again, exactly measuring, and a few grinds of black pepper. Okay, so we're going to mix this up. Good. Now we're going to give it a taste. I know there's raw egg in here, but I do this all the time. Probably not a good idea, just to see. I'm going to add just a little bit more salt. Okay, this is all set. I'm going to put it aside, and then we'll make our eggplant. Be right back. Okay, now we're going to make our coating for the eggplant. For that, we're going to need 4 eggs. Traditionally, it's just coated in flour and then fried. I'm doing this a little bit differently this time. I've done it that way. I've also done it with very finely ground Italian breadcrumbs. And I've also tried it with just baking the eggplant sheets, slices. But this is the way I make my eggplant parm as well. There's no breading involved in mine. It's just the egg wash and the flour. So we have about a cup of flour here, which we're going to dredge the eggplant in, and then we're going to put it in the egg wash. It's the only whisk I could find. That's all right, it'll work. I'll just have to work harder. So we got the 4 eggs in there. And we're also going to add a 1/2 cup of the Romano cheese. Okay, that will give it a lot more extra flavor. I'm going to do 1/4 teaspoon of salt again. A couple of grinds of black pepper. And yes, more basil. We're going to put about a tablespoon of freshly chopped basil in here as well. Okay. There we go. So now we have to prepare the eggplant itself. So we're going to cut the end off. This is a nice big eggplant. You want 1 large or 2 medium for this dish, for the amount that we're doing here. And we cut the ends off. And you make a little slice on the bumpy part, which is right here, just to stabilize it so I can cut it easier. Some people peel the eggplant first. I don't need to. I don't feel the need to. We're going to cut these into 1/4 inch slices. Okay, so get that off there. Nice fresh one. Nice fresh eggplant. I love eggplant in any way. Okay, now that with this halfway done, I'm going to do it this way. You could also use a mandolin if it's easier for you. One more. I think I'll turn it this way so I can see what I'm doing. Okay. Oops. There. That one's a little thicker, but that's okay. And I'm going to try to salvage this. Nah, forget it. It's too slippery. Okay, so what I'm going to do is lay these out a little bit here. Give them a little salt, and then we're going to dredge them in the flour. Kind of salt them a little bit. Just on the one side. You don't need to do both. Okay, so first we're going to dredge the eggplant in flour. It just helps the egg coating adhere better. And as I said before, this is the way I do my eggplant parm too. I don't use any breading at all. I don't like getting a mouthful of breading. So dump this in the egg wash and cook it just until it gets a little bit brown, a little bit of color, but not too brown. So it's about a minute, possibly 2 minutes to side, depending. And that's sizzling pretty well, so I'm saying we're going to do this for about a minute. Okay, so we're just going to fry off the rest of this eggplant and then we'll come back and assemble our dish. Be right back. Alright, so we're ready to roll these. We've got a 2-quart baking pan here. I'm going to give it a little spritz on the bottom with some oil. And then we're going to layer the eggplant in on top of a little bit of the sauce that we made. Put this on the bottom. And the rest will go on the top. Alright, so I'm going to take our eggplant, bit of the filling in it. And it's so warm in here, the filling's melting. Oh. The size eggplant that we use, and it depends on how wide it is too, you usually get about 8 to 10 slices for this. Okay, so our eggplant is ready for the oven. We're just going to put a little bit of the sauce on the top. We've got our oven preheating to 375 degrees. We're going to bake it for about 20 to 25 minutes until it starts to brown up a little bit. A little more sauce. This is ready to go in after we sprinkle a little bit, a 1/4 cup of the Romano on the top. So it will brown up nicely. Or do I make a mess? I'm back in a minute. So our rollatini is done. And let's just take a few pieces out. Oh, if you could smell this. It's amazing. Mm.